Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guy here. I don't really think he needs much introduction like the other people.
My name is Everald Cummings, better known as Gally, national footballer since the age of 15, 16, professional footballer from the age of 18 in the North American Soccer League in the inauguration year, and also was the coach of the strike squad for the 1989 World Cup game where we lost America 1-0. But what was amazing about that time, we brought our entire nation together.
Okay, now that's his big claim to fame, and but in the little humble times, this is a gentleman that I've known. He was very inspirational to me when he came up to Mova doing drills and stuff. I was injured, but I was very excited to jump in one of his drills, which he mentioned that who's this little guy, and they had to tell him who the guy is, midget. So Gali, I don't know if you remember the Mova thing, and I want to ask you, did you realize now that that nurturing thing, because that had to be a part of your career, was in your DNA that early?
Yeah, I think I knew Trevor Tillett and his brother, um, God rest his soul, Terry Talib, and the rest of the family. So we all got close, and he asked me to come to Mova, to visit family, and at the same time, if I could help with a little coaching in the area. And I think I was on my first year of professional football with the Atlanta Chiefs, and I agreed to come up, and this is when I met you first, and I always wanted to ask you, what do you do with that berry, the berry at your hedge away?
Yeah, the Barrett was, Black Power time, and we used to drill out here, and you want to drop it rough, and then you want to look nice when you pull out your throw. So that was the era where yeah, and then Dennis Yip was very supportive. Dennis Yip was always radical, so I didn't have
Right, I know
anybody
that.
telling me not to do it.
Right, because when I came to Mova, I think we went down to the little playing field at one time. As you know, we had the session right there. I think they refurbished that field now
Yeah,
and it's a
Mova
nice
Savannah,
place there.
yes.
Right. And I stayed close to the Tellets and you. And what was amazing is that I remember you coming home at my home at the time. I was living in that backyard there on Dundonald Street. And
Yes.
you came inside and you were looking at all the trophies and different things, but you were very interested in playing national football. And I think what happened, your older brother,
Victor,
Victor,
yeah.
bigger as we call him, he was already playing for Colts. And I remember I was playing for Paragon back in the day, so I used to come up against him. And we had a very good rivalry at the time. And then I met you in Canada. When I moved to Canada, I came to Canada. I was in Canada
No,
because
not
my wife,
really.
huh?
We met on the bus, the TTFA bus.
Oh,
Remember when we was
right.
going
To
to
go, yeah, to
some?
go,
I was on the
right.
national.
Okay, right. We met on the bus, right? And you disappeared after that.
Yeah, I left 2 weeks after that. But I want to tell the public also that, ladies and gentlemen, besides his coaching ability, Gali has an uncanny way of keeping the line going. He's a very, as a coach, he could be stringent at times, but he have the downside where he could be fun. And he kept that. We had a ride from Port of Spain, Abercrombie Street, where the TTFA bus picks us up. And Gali talked and make that interesting. That was my first outing, and Gali made things so interesting. It was so nice to have Gali there because now you're going to meet the big guns like Steve David and the whole South contingent. Again, I want to thank you for being there. It so happened that you were always there at certain part of my career.
But I enjoyed it because of the fact that someone was also there for me. And I always look at life as giving back. It's a kind of karma. You do good and good will follow you. And so far, good has always been, following me. But I must talk about when I moved to Canada and saw you there. The friendship just took off again. And it was nice to see you and a lot of other people, as I said, my cousin, Mr. Bonnie Renwick Jupiter, and he was in charge of the league at
That's
Flemingdon
right.
Park. And it so happens that I moved right opposite the park at 200 Gateway Boulevard. So I went to the park to do some training, and I saw this game going on a weekend. And when I looked, I thought I knew everybody on the field, especially the players, the players team. You know, and it had some, it really had some good talent. I used to really look at people go at. Sometimes I came out and I was doing training on my own, and I remember one time Orban decided
Goalkeeper.
to go in the goal and let
That's
me
right.
take some
When you
shots
had
at
the
him.
goal.
Yeah, and after a while, he was kind of worried because I was hitting the ball pretty hard at him, you know. And he asked me a question one time. He said, "Look, why is it I don't need people to train because I was so disciplined. I used to do train on my own."
Yeah.
And then you started to train with me too and had some company because we used to go behind the science center,
That's
that
right.
area down there. And people used to say, "What are you training for?" But what had happened when my family moved to Toronto, my wife was at the consulate and my children was very young, was 3 and 6. So I had to be around as a parent. And I had now finished playing for the national team in 1977, 78 World Cup, where we lost to Suriname and we were knocked out of the preliminaries. And when I moved to Toronto, I had just formed a professional team with a lady called Joanne Gordon. And the name of the team was Pro Pioneers. I think it was the first professional team in Trinidad and Tobago. We had players like Sammy Llewellyn, Ron Lafferty, Milton Archibald, Leroy DeLeon, Steve David, Derek Coker, John Granville, Cyrus Figaro, Denzel White. It was a star-studded team, but all those players came from the national team. And what I was trying to do is keep a cadre of players together, because what happened in Trinidad football, after every tournament, players just go back to the separate ways. And the only time we start training is about a week before the tournament. So I try to keep this team together. So for the next World Cup.
So I want to ask you now, what you tell to the level of the Flemingdon League, and what if you were aware of the IRE tournament, because these are the landmarks we're dealing with to do the Toronto Caribbean soccer history. So maybe you.
Okay, I think well, the Street Guys Soccer League, it was right there. And in Flemingdon Park, we just walk over, just cross the street, and everybody, they were playing. And what happened, I used to move around a lot because I knew a lot of the players from the various teams. And I used to go, especially with exhibitors and Chusaki and these guys, and my brother and friend Lance Greenwich. And we used to do some training down the west side. And then when they came to the park, sometimes I give them a little team talk, what have you. And then when I knew most of the players on the
But were you actually coaching them? Because I saw.
No, I did one session with them, and most of it was more motivational kind of talk, and that sometimes is more important than the physical part, the mental. And the IRE tournament, that was always a very good tournament. That was a different level, and I used to enjoy that more. So what happened when Defense Force came up? Brigadier Brown saw me, and he said, "You want to ask me if I wanted to play for Defense Force?" Because I think they had an exhibition game against some other team when they came up. And then when Malvern came up also, I played for Malvern also.
That's the Grandpa side of them, right?
Yes, and when Malvern came up, we played against an Italian team. And lo and behold, after the game, the coach of the Italian team called me, wanted to sign me up. But what happened? I was already getting ready to leave for Cleveland to play for the Cleveland Force in the major indoor soccer league, the MISL. And because my friend and brother from the national team in Trinidad, Tony Douglas, he was playing there, and this friend of mine from back on Dunedin Street, Samuel Leon called me and said, "Look, your brother down here playing indoor football." I didn't really want to play indoor football, but I had some good indoor training from the river in East Dry River. playing off the wall and playing in small areas. So I went down to Cleveland,
Plus,
did a little
you were
tryout.
playing with us indoor too.
Yeah, oh yes, I used to play indoor.
Had the
But
touches.
that was the only time I played indoor and yeah, with the boys because it was very interesting. I used to be looking at it and enjoying it. And then I decided to take a little thing which was good. And people, if the guys enjoyed seeing me
Well,
in
let me
action.
ask you now. With that type of power you had, that type of shot you have, and the skill you had, and transit because you were one of the guys from back in the day, transitioning out to indoor. I know you have your nice little pivot. I know your game, but how the adaptation to indoor for you? Because I think I remember vaguely that you were, within the training. I think I picked up there might have been, but it wasn't a discussion we had. So what you find? What is the biggest adaptation you had to do for the indoor from the game you had outdoor?
Well, to be quite honest with you, in my autobiography, I talked about playing in the East Dry River, where we had to play wall pass off the wall. And it was a close game, right? It was a very close knit game there. And the strange thing about it, in the East Dry River, there's a portion of water that runs through the middle of the field. And we had the goals and in a diagonal way. One goal was on each side of the bank. So we were playing in a diagonal way, and your shooting had to be accurate, and also playing out off the wall, and at the same time going for the ball off the wall, you had to jump the canal or the so it was so when I came to indoor football in Canada, I don't have an idea exactly how to play indoor football and what it entails. And I enjoyed it, but as I said, I know it was very interesting.
Okay, so the Ivy tournament, there were teams sometimes Trinidad, there were teams coming from New York,
Yeah, all
Trinidad.
over here.
Yeah. So okay, so what year did you actually leave Toronto? What was the time duration? And with this time, I want to thank Rosalind now for getting that job and exposing Gali to us again, because it made a continuation of the Glory Guys business who changed to Ice Picks, and we kept it on, and I saw you blossom into the national coach. Everything I find you got, you deserve. How long you stayed in Toronto?
I stayed from 1977 to 1983. But in between, I used to go back to Trinidad to play for the Pro Pioneers, because the team was, I was player coach, and we used to have exhibition games all in Point Fontaine and Arima, and we went on trips we made a Caribbean tour of Jamaica and Costa Rica, and then we ended up in Colombia. And before they had the ASL team, we had the Pro Pioneers. So when Pro Pioneers, a Trinidad to mash up, because a nonsense again, all the players went to what the now starting ASL team with Arthur Sweet. This is the Lon Lafferty, Sammy Llewellyn, and all these guys.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want to just wrap up maybe I shouldn't ask you this. Maybe I should have given Rosalind this thing, because I realize you enjoy your time here, and I just wanted to wrap up your whole time in Toronto here and what it meant to you. I see in the bio you did mention it did help your kids and them educationally because of the science center and stuff, right? But I want to find out from you what Toronto meant to you in your career. I know you trained here, and as a city.
It meant a lot to me because I was at the crossroads of my as you say, soccer career. So I was playing in Cleveland, the Cleveland Force. I spent a season there, and I came back to Toronto. I came back to Toronto from Cleveland, and then I went on tryouts with the Blizzard. I stayed with the Blizzard for about maybe 3 weeks tryouts, and
that's Toronto Blizzards.
Toronto Blizzards, yeah, but I wasn't enjoying it. So I decided, listen, my best bet was to stay with the Pro Pioneers and tour the world. And then when we were moving back to Trinidad, I got a contractual arrangement with Arthur Sweet for ASL. But what happened, At the same time, I got a contractual arrangement to play for ASL in the Premier Soccer League. Dennis Ship was having some problems with Falcons of Belmont. He was the coach of Falcons, and he left
You had contact
Falcons.
with Dennis here?
Well, I saw him coaching at Falcons, and me and Dennis Ship used to be always exchanging laughter. You know, he's a kind of funny guy, but he was a nice person. And when Dennis Lip left Falcons was getting ready to start in the Premier League with ASL and all these teams. So Arthur Sweeten saw it. So in the best interest of the league, to make me a player coach with Falcons, and they would pay me the salary ASL. So I was being paid by ASL to keep a team in motion, and Falcons did well because, you know, I took over the team, and as I said, what a lot of people and coaches and our Trimegonian public don't seem to understand is that we have a cultural part of us, and we need to put it in our football. We put it in carnival, and we put it in how we dance and calypso and things, but we don't understand that when we play, it's poetry in motion. So all I try to, and people ask me, how do you get teams to function so quickly? I said, I just let the guys be themselves, because I could be a Trinidadian player easier than I could be an English or a Dutch player.
Correct. This bio here that I have, right? In this bio, I didn't get through. It's pretty sizable in terms of number of pages. I think it's 300 and something pages.
Yeah, 300, and I think it's 300.
Right, but you mentioned also that it's different sizes, different way, but it's the same amount of pages, correct?
The same amount of pages, but it's just how I think the copy you have there in Canada, it looks a little wider than the one I have. But I don't know. It looks
So
that way.
if we're going into the bio, what you would like to do, the pictures forwarded, you want to go to the pictures that can give you want to talk about the pictures that give you a better, but before we do anything in the pictures, Steve, you mentioned Trevor, Tillett, and Keith Bruce.
Yeah.
When you were going into the US game, and they brought you gears for the national team.
And that is a friendship, as I said, that started in over with the Tillets and me, and then I met Keith Bruce in Boston, and when I was with the New York Cosmos, all my siblings, my brothers and sisters live in Boston, so I used to go to Boston, and Keith Bruce, I used to be coaching a team down there with Trevor and Keith Bruce, and called Flamingos, Carl Smith and these guys. And when we went to play that first game in Torrance, California against the US, we had no tracksuits. All we had was one change of uniform. This is what a World Cup team I was coaching, and this is what they offered me. So when Trevor came and said he brought tracksuits for the fellas, that was motivation in itself. Some of these players, some of these fellas put it on and slept in it, because the Football Association couldn't afford to give us tracksuit, and a matter of fact, even with a little podium in our pockets, that was a problem to them too. So Trevor and them came, and we played a beautiful game. We drew the game, and it was all because of Trevor and Keith Bruce.
Players like new uniform.
All the time.
They like it's almost like you're enhancing them as a person.
That's it.
So that was big for Trevor, and that's why I said
it was very big.
Keith Bruce and them that was big. And I want to say, based on that assistance you got, I want to let you know also that you are entitled to that. People just realize that since in the late 60s, you came up to Mova through the same Trevor.
Yeah.
That's to understand, because I know the history. That's another way, although you elevated that level at national, is Roots guy who came with that feelings for you and supported you and assist you in even material things of putting out and making sure you were okay. They didn't look at the TTFA at that time or the TTFF, right? So the next area now, the pictures. If I pop the pictures here, one of the pictures, of course, I see the Northwood Primary School. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I would like to talk about that because I was at the Richmond Street Boys. I must have been 9, 10 years old at the time. And we had, back in the day, you had your North Zone primary school team playing against the South Zone, just like you had in the senior football with the North South Classics. All of these things are no more, which interferes a lot with the development of football. So that was a North Zone team. We took that picture after the game, and if you look at the center of the picture, you will see Old Four.
Yeah,
Very
and those
small
folk
guy.
are the instrumental players and that. Yeah, just take a look at it. That's right. Okay.
Old Four is in the middle of that picture where I'm kneeling down there, and to the left up, to the right up, and your right of Earl is also Terry Watson. And the three of us played for Fatima College when they won their first intercall. It's amazing, eh? And we started off in primary school, and they were at Belmont RC, and I was at Richmond Street Boys. And so I didn't know them in that picture there at all. It's amazing how life is. I didn't know these guys. All I knew is that we were representing the non-zone. So players came from different teams, and we played a game at Guardian Sports Club.
So did you link up with Earl when you came up here? Did you meet him at the
yes, I linked up with him. There was a boat ride sometime, I think the Tranquility, Old Boys or something, and I saw him on the boat ride.
Okay. Another picture here is this.
County?
Yes.
But what happened is after the strike squad game against the US, a lot of people don't know, but the world was looking at us, and the chief scout of Derby County, a gentleman by the name of Jimmy Searle, he was an English international. He called me. He got my number from the Football Association. He called me and he said, he's coming to Trinidad because he's looking for players for Derby County, because I think at that time that Peter Shilton was the goalkeeper, and they were in the first division, and they were about to be relegated. They didn't win a couple of games. So he said, can you recommend 3 players from the strike squad for me? And I recommended Leonson Lewis, Russell Latterby, and Philbert Jones. And then what was amazing, Dwight Chalk, when Dwight Chalk went to Aston Villa, he was so good that they wanted more players from Trinidad and Tobago. So he realized,
that's how it goes, darling.
That's how it goes. So the strike squad was playing so good, and these guys were very instrumental in the development of the strike squad and the victories. So they went, and I think they spent about a month up there. And what happened? It appears that they didn't cut it, because what happened? They were looking for taller players. So Dwight was tall and strong, so he had the skills, so he fit the bill. So what happens is that the guy came to Trinidad, or Jimmy Searle, the chief scout of Derby County, and he said, and he called me from the airport. He said, I want to take you to England. He said, because you were the one who made all these guys, and it looked like you know how to develop and build players, just like you were saying earlier on. And I flew back to England to Derby County with him. And it's the best treatment I've ever gotten in my life as a coach. I went there, and I was assigned to the reserve team, and as you saw in the picture, and I stayed there for almost a month. All expenses they paid, and I stayed in a little castle and so on, and I was enjoying it. But it started to get lonely, because it was cold, and I was on my own, and my family was in Trinidad at the time. So I decided, listen, I'm going to see Michael, let's come back home for a while. But what happened is that, well, they planned to use me to develop the reserve teams and the younger players, but I think they had some problems with the head coach at the time. I think he didn't want my kind of coaches. This is my impression, my feeling of things. So the chief scout, Jimmy Searle, God rest his soul, he died some years ago. He told me, he said, well, we leave yourself things for another time.
You have 2 distinguished gentlemen in your career. Which one you want to start to see how one with Dr. Eric Williams, and then you have one with Pele. So you can go with whichever one.
I will start with Dr. Eric Williams. As a child, living at the corner of Dunlop Street and Melville Lane, That's a stone throw from the Queen's Park Savannah. Well, you know where I
Yes.
live, and west of me was Valley's house. So Eric William, the Prime Minister, used to be coming through Evelyn Lane to go down the street, making a shortcut to the Red House. And I was a little boy at the street corner, and I saw this important man, and the doc, as we used to call him, and I was in, and he had his pipe, and he would knock the pipe on his hand like that, and wave to me. And that motivated me so much that I used to look for him every morning. I do not know politics. I see an important person in papers and a man who was in charge of the country. And what happened is that in 1972, after winning a championship with the Cosmos, he brought Santos to Pele down to Trinidad at the Queen's Park over in 1972. And I met him again, and when I explained to him who I was, he said he was in a pro. He said he couldn't believe that he motivated me so much that I met him after the game at the Hilton in a little reception for the team, and we hit it off. And then I met him again in 1973, when we returned from Haiti. So the relationship extended a little more because of the fact that he knew who I was and how I felt looking at him as a little boy, 10 years old.
And now to the king, who we call the king,
Well, I met the king for the first time in 1968 in Atlanta. And what was amazing in 1968, three very important things happened in 1968 in my life as a human being. The first one was the assassination of Martin Luther King in 1968, April. We were training at the Atlanta Bridge Stadium, and the news came where he was assassinated, and we had to stop training and go home because the club were afraid what was going to take place afterwards. So we had to go home, and Pele came in the Jim Crow era with bigotry and racism and everything against black people. That situation I had to deal with in Atlanta. And he brought 25,000 people to the Atlanta Bridge Stadium. And the third thing is that we the Atlanta Chief, won our first soccer championship in the NASL, the North American Soccer League, in 1968.
Wow.
So we had a championship team. We had a black player from Brazil, the king of football, bringing out 25,000 white people. And at the same time, it's very sad to say, we had the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Wow. Wow, Gali. Yeah, that's the serious thing you just
all that is in the book.
The 73, and that's the one that was called for the 72 squad that you have here, because when the Germany came around, I was already tuning some of my headlines from Germany to Germany, because when I was in the squad, when we went up, it was for the 74. I was called for international duty, and of course I did follow that whole Haiti thing from up here, and it's kind of ironic that it ended up that was a Miss Germany, and then the Soca Warriors end up going to Germany. So I mean, and we'll get into the strike squad after that, but that was a deprived, unbelievable situation you guys went through there. I mean, people hear it maybe 1,000 times, but that has to be always documented, especially in this month of February, that something went wrong there.
Very true. I think what was amazing, Alvin, what was amazing about that Haiti tour is that team we had brilliant players in that team, and the team was very well motivated by a lady by the name of Shirley Rodotli, who was a behavioral psychologist. She worked with me again for a second time in the strike squad. But she was she used to be really talking to the players and getting their head right. And we lost our first game in that tournament against Honduras. I think it was 2-1. And the second game was Haiti. And what was amazing about the Haiti game is that Winston Phillips had a long throw in.
Yes, I
And
know.
he will throw from any part of the field, even the halfway line, into
In the box.
your clothing goalpost. And we had Steve David there to knock it on. For me and Archibald coming in to finish off. So every time we got the ball, we throw it in, goal score, you referee will signal, he blew the whistle to the hole and pointed to the center spot, and we all went back to the center spot. Only to look down the road and see the linesman with his flag up still. But knowing about the rules of the game, once the referee decision is final, once the referee is done spot and he saw he's up the goal, he doesn't need the linesman. The linesman is like a help.
He can consult the linesman, but if he sees
it, he can overrule him too.
Yeah.
But the linesman decision was final, not the referees in this game. So we scored about four, I think it was 4 or 5 times. I think it was 5 here, and they were disallowing goals. I couldn't believe it. And what was amazing about
so I want to ask, based on everybody know that story, but maybe people didn't ask this. What was for you to continue scoring? Is that based on the talent you guys were so up for the game? Because normally human tendency is you start to get depressed, you start to get dejected, it starts to interfere with your psyche. How you guys, is it that you guys were so much better, or you guys were determined?
We were highly motivated. We used to motivate each other, and at the same time, we had a kind of camaraderie in the team that never before they go so in the national team. So what happened? And I talked to Steve David a lot about it. Every time we score and they disallow it, we scored again. And it was very amazing. But I remember Archibald and Steve David. They were two speedsters. Them guys were very quick. After the game, I think I have a picture somewhere around where Steve David had his hand on his head crying. And I was acknowledging the crowd in a sad way. And all the players, the reserves, and then Henry Denny and Ray Roberts and Moraldo and Derek Figueroa, they all came onto the field consoling us. And the next day, we had a training session. And all the players were like, wondering what we'll do next because we didn't protest. You know what's amazing? All the other teams protested except us. And because we were always thinking about when we won a tournament, be the best disciplined team. And that stuck with us.
Okay. Let me ask you, that's amazing. Why, if it was so blatant, and at the end of the day, the referee and stuff got suspended for life and stuff, why did the management see it fit to protest?
Yeah, but they said the referee decision was final. The thing about it is that even in my autobiography, I'm asking FIFA to please acknowledge this wrong that was done to us. Because at this moment, it's about at least 9 or 10 of the people who, I think it's 8 or 9 players plus Oliver Camp, the manager, who died. So I'm asking FIFA, please acknowledge this team and give us some kind of award or some kind of appreciation for the manner in which we conducted ourselves in a sportsman, because something like that happening today.
It could come under the fair play clause. It could come under the fair play clause. You're right.
But this is what I'm saying, they could do something. And I'm asking them to do that now because I thought the Football Association should have done something like that a long time ago. But you know how we are, we always wait for somebody to say, let's do something before we take it upon ourselves to do the correct thing. But that game, to be quite honest with you, every time I talk about that game, I kind of get
it's the way thing. When you know sport and you see now the sports have evolved to VR and these things, play purposes, you say that you guys, I mean, you can't say it's the wrong time because these things, it never happened before. Taking back 4 and 5 goals has never happened.
This is why it's so easy to overturn.
That's right. The situation with the Cosmos.
The Cosmos team, We won the North American Soccer League in 1972, and I left Atlantic City in 1970. And in 1971, I stayed in Trinidad, recovering from some injury, a knee injury, and I played with Malvern in 1971. And then I returned to the North American Soccer League with my new team, the New York Cosmos. And I was very fortunate that we won the North American Soccer League, giving me a second championship ring. And the fact that I meet some very nice players there, because from time to time we have New York Cosmos have reunions.
Yeah.
And the Pele and Beckenbauer, all the old guys who we played with all got together, and we have a nice reunion every year at Hofstra University in Long Island.
Okay, so now for the big one. We'll do the Strike Squad, and then we'll do the so-called Warriors. Now, the Strike Squad, I can give you my side in that somebody was traveling with a ball on the Trinidad team, and the ball bounced. It was on the ground, and then it bounced a certain way. And for me, knowing playing in big games, would know that would be throwing me off in terms of thinking of an opponent. Now you have to think in terms of the control of the ball. I'll give you what your whole assessment of that is, and then we'll move on. So what your assessment of that is? We know it's a 1-0. To make it short, it's a draw you in, win you're in, right? And I want to let you also know that this is not a pressure question. This is a long time ago. And
once
win
upon
and people lose and stuff. So it's not, you don't have to do, this is not an accountability thing. This is just, we're just talking like we did before. What transpired there in your assessment in terms of how would you assess that whole scenario?
I think our assessment is a lot of politics played, and sometimes you as a coach reach a point to spot, you only can do so much. But what was amazing to me, and I don't want to go into this because I've given away everything in the book.
No, yeah, that's what I don't want you to do.
All right, but I will just list a couple of things.
It's just the win, the draw, the losing, and
yeah, but there's some things that happen that, as you know, you could win or lose a game before the game. You don't even have to go on the football field. So,
well, that wouldn't be known to the players, though.
No, that's the thing about it. So, but it wouldn't be known to all of us, because the thing about this is that before the game, all the officials were changed, and FIFA brought their own referee. That was one. The next thing is that our first game in the competition was against the US. That same time in Torrance, California, where Trevor and Brody Traps.
Right.
That was the first game. Our return game was 6 months after November the 19th. You ever hear a return game play 6 months simply?
Well, because maybe the whole thing, the scenario, it has to be within a scenario.
Correct. Yeah, listen to this. When we were playing our warm-up game against Aston Villa from England, that was in March of 1989. Costa Rica and America had already played 2 games. So while we were in our competitive phase, right there in the competitive phase, we were still in basic training. So it was never even Steven. And as I said, if I was to go deeper into this, the book won't be important anymore.
Right.
And not only that, a lot of things like we went personally and asked the managers of the stadium to wet the field because it was rainy conditions and we were training in heavy rain and mud. And we were told that he said he's not doctoring in the field. Just imagine your own countryman in your own country where you have an advantage to prepare the field to
watch your life.
Yeah, he said he's not doctoring in the field.
All right. Okay. So that's answering my hard ground question. That's enough in terms of, for me, and it is now where I cover World Cups and stuff at all different levels. It's sprinkle the ground any moment, notice at halftime and stuff. So you have to have your proper cleats and stuff. This is standard practice now with FIFA.
That's it.
So again, a wet ground, not heavy, is
Not
also
heavy.
to form on the grass, right?
And then
But we'll leave that for
All
the
right.
people to purchase the autobiography.
Yeah,
And
we
now
can
we
do
go to the
everything.
Germany. We go to the Germany. For me, as I told you, from Germany to Germany, that's always my mantra.
Right.
I was following it. I saw Bertrand Sinclair, who me and him become very close, right? No, Ben Hatter came in. I was there when Ben Hatter came in after the break where it ended up being the Barry thing. What you thought of that whole thing in terms of, just briefly again, not to sell out anything in your bio, because again, ladies and gentlemen, Gary does have the bio out here, an autobiography, and he can't sell everything out. I think what we have to do as a people sometimes is support, and we need to support his venture. If you want to deal with the qualification, the successful qualification, and they're playing in Germany, because I got a glimpse in there where a lot of the fans already in Trinidad would agree with you totally with some of the assessment you make in the book, but they already have the assessment, and that was something I wrote about. But I see you accuse the Trinidad media of not writing it. But we can't hide facts.
True.
We can't hide facts. So the thing is, you tell me what you think about that whole qualification and the performance in Germany.
I thought we never played like Trinidadians. We played more like a European team. And this was my team.
But again, in respect to that assessment, that is normal based on a lot of these guys who are playing in Europe. A lot of these guys were a little I would say, with all respect to them, a little under the competition, right? Because I mean, you can't with England. So while they did well, that thing with Latipi was a big thing I found, especially after the third game. The whole, whoever is responsible for that would have to take the weight of
My whole thing about the team, I found that at no time at all the players were allowed to play how we play in Trinidad and Tobago. And I always feel that once we do things like ourselves, you understand? We could beat anybody once we have the right structure and organization in our football.
The big question: why you think the time was right to do your bio now and not before?
I think the time is always right to do right. To be quite honest with you, I think that I have a story to tell, and I think I am not going to be one of those athletes who make a very sterling contribution and just let fall by the wayside. I think that young people who don't know who Gary Cummings is, they ought to know about my history and my contribution to Trinidad and Tobago, because something about us in Trinidad, people finish play and they just push you to the wayside and they just get somebody else. No, I have a story to tell. I think this is a 6-year history, and I would like secondary schools, primary schools, parents to get into it. I want this to be in all young people, because it's a book about not only about Gary Cummings, but it's about young people who have, struggled to make life, and we have a lot of misguided youths out there who need to read this book to understand who I am, because when I told people before I wrote the book about my story, people used to say, well, Gary, you have no problem, you did this, you're a professor. No. I need to document these things. Because if we don't document things, because let me just share this with you, I know a lot of people go to the Hall of Fame and all talk in Trinidad and Tobago, but with my 6-year history, I didn't go to the Hall of Fame and all talk. It's all documented in the book. And all these pictures you were showing me a while ago, England and Atlanta Chief and New York Cosmos. That's not guesswork. That is hard work. And I want it to be documented so young people will understand you cannot get anywhere or be a success without hard work and determination.
Well said, Gali. Well said. I want to add this at this point. I want to say to you that during your career, and I didn't mind, and I don't already have a problem in attaching myself to you because, as you say, it's the hard work, and people could say what they want, right? And you through your journey, and it hasn't been easy, right? I know your journey, it hasn't been easy, but we can't convince other people of other things. We just have to go your way. And I'm so glad that you did this bio. Because for me, as I consider my friend, that's why I linked back up with Trevor to reacquaint with you, because I didn't know how we lost our path. And I'm so comfortable now that Gali, I just hope that you don't try to convince anybody of anything anymore, because I looked at your bio and everything is itemized and detailed. So if you don't feel like talking or trying to convince anybody, please tell them by your bio.
Yeah, but I just want to say something before we finish. I remember Fatima College, Clive Panton, Father Gerald Parkman, and my geography teacher, Mr. Moore. I remember them playing. Clive Panton played for Casuals in the Forest Spirit Body, and Mervyn Moore, who ended up being the principal of Fatima, he played for Sporting Club. I was a little boy playing for Paragon. And I remember at Fatima College, getting ready to leave the United States to play in a professional team. And this is what they said to me. They inspired me to have a clear conscience, the courage to speak the truth, and the importance of remaining authentic. And this is who I am.
Yeah, and Gali, I looked through this autobiography, and this thing is very detailed.
It is.
It shows a lot of, it's not just history. It shows a lot of variation of moving to places, adaptation,
With family
forming the cultures and stuff, and still maintaining the friendship and stuff, because you hold on to your glory guys, you hold on to keepers and stuff. And most importantly, you hold on to wrestling. Because I remember when we need to come up over, they can take all they want tonight. I don't you see, Gali, how much people just listen to what you say and how important if they want to be a leader. That's why I know if leadership is a thing, is by example.
Very true.
So I want to thank you now, Gali, for giving me the time today. It's something that I wanted a little while now, but we also learned that mistake takes before it's time.
Sure. Very true.
Thanks for the time and stuff, and say hi to your wife for me.
I'll do that.
So you take care.
And I'd like to give a shout out to because
Sure.
Well, I'd like to say hello to Bonnie, Alti and the family. And also, I want to shout out to my Paragon brethren, Julian Parker, because these are the guys who helped me a lot as a youngster when I was now getting into the game and learning the game. And when Paragon won the national championship in 1964, and the Paragon team is in the book, and Julian Parker's name is there also, and also our esteemed coach Tony Gobaya picture is there. So I never forget the people. I never forget where I came from, and this is very important. I stay with my feet on the ground.
Yeah, it's the open can of rooms there now, with Bobby, because again, I end up being under Bobby. I remember Bobby taking about 17 people in his vehicle, all when he was coaching us in COM and take us out to the semi-final of the FA Cup,
Right. This is Bobby here.
The man was close to the ground with weight.
Yeah,
Everybody you know, so I give thanks again for giving me the time. And how are you making out with the COVID?
Well, boy, staying safe, staying inside, and staying alive.
That's what I've never heard that one before. Like you had that one rehearsed, boy. Yeah. That's a nice one. So all right. So you take care, Gali, and
the book is on Amazon.com, and all they have to do is to go into the internet and check out Amazon and organize themselves. Most people right now in New York and England, I told them Amazon.com, and they said, all right. And for what I hear, they might be getting the book in the next 3 or 4 days. And I think that is basically it. In Trinidad and Tobago, I let everybody know what bookstore they could get in at Trinidad. But Amazon is where you get the book.